All right, I have a lot to cover today, so I just kind of B-roll in the background here. But the goal is to cover the basics on how to do salvaging in the Vulture, as well as discuss a little bit about where you can go about getting salvaging, not necessarily contracts, but just where you can actually go get salvage and where you should be able to go and look for and find salvage. Just for example, just in this video here, you can see I'm salvaging a hammerhead, because if you go to do the hammerhead cleanup mission, you can really tear this ship down and get a lot of salvage. You can see in this video that my buffer is completely full. My depot is completely full of RMC, which is really good income. So if you can get a hold of a mission like this, for example, you can get a lot of money. If I have a spreadsheet on it, but essentially you can make over a third of a million AUEC. So the Vulture definitely can make good income. You just have to be selective about where you go to get that income. So we'll cover some of the bugs of the Vulture currently. There are a few bugs with it. We're going to cover some of the options about where to go to get the salvaging pieces. They're not all going to be mission based. I think there's some other guidance that could be helpful for people. And this is really meant to just replace my previous salvage guide, especially since now that a lot of things have changed with the new version of Salvage, where the income is brought down pretty significantly. So the other thing you have to note so on these missions, you do have a time limit. So when we get towards the end of this clip here, you're going to see that I'm going to run out of time on this hammerhead. And so when you go to do process a hammerhead, you have a significant amount. You have a lot of time. It's about an hour to do it. But if you don't do it within that time period, it's going to blow up like this, and you're going to see ships spawn because these are dudes that are here to now kill me. So and I'm trespassing. You can see from the top there. So when it comes down to it, you have to pay attention to what the rules and requirements are on the salvage claims. In some instances, you might only have a limited time to actually get the salvage claim complete before you could potentially see crime or get a crime stat associated with it. So let's get into it. All right, so you want to hit F1, then you want to go to contracts, and you want to click this verified to unverified, and you want to see this cleanup mission. It'll either be a constellation or a cuddy. So that's still going to be the key. You only get 20,000 for it now. It used to be like 80,000. So that's going to be the key to doing all of this. So once you get that mission, you're going to make your way to your ship. So we just covered missions a little bit, but I wanted to note something about that. Really, the current salvage claim missions are pretty terrible. They're really expensive. So when we're moving in here, I'm still going to be using the scraping mission, the cleanup mission. So you can see here I did get a constellation. Now do note that the constellation does give you a significant more, actually it's like double RMC associated with it than you get from the Drake. So when you do the cleanup mission, you can get either a constellation and drama, or you can get a cutlass black. And really it comes down to the constellation is significantly better. So you want to move in on your contract here. I'm just looking at the contracts, just showing you that again where to get that. You go to unverified and you should see it in this listing. I've already accepted it here, so you can see a lot of risky. These riskies are very expensive and they're not going to be generally worth the taking. So you can see this is the cleanup mission under my accepted because I've already taken the mission, just like I showed in the previous segment. Again, those riskies, they're so expensive. It really makes it quite daunting to take those on. Sometimes they have like drugs and other materials in there, but it's just not going to be worth it. Under the regular verified, it's going to be regular salvage claims. Those are fairly expensive as well. And even for up to 50K, you're getting a ship that isn't large enough to really make up for, you have to scrape it. You have to scrape it and break it down to construction material and then potentially see if it has any cargo. But the Vulture has a very limited bay, so it's hard to make your money back. It really is. So here we are getting ready to set up. So you can see on the left hand of my screen there, I have switched over to SCM guns. You cannot do salvaging when you're in nav mode. It's just kind of a way that the game is set up. So you need to make sure you're in SCM guns. Next, you press M and you'll go to mining mode. You can see here I have two abrade scraper modules on the left and the right hand side. I'm showing the left hand side here. But these abrade are really going to be your best go-to. Usually you first start out, you're going to have one abrade and the other will be a tractor beam, but you really need two abrades. So that's really going to be the best way to go about this because they're the best statistic wise. So you can see here are the stats. You can see it's 3.5 diameter, it's 0.5 on 5.9 on speed, and the efficiency is about a little over 75%. And I think those are meant to be percentages, all just in decimal form. So what that means is that they are the medium size. They have a decent speed, I think they're the fastest, and then they have a decent efficiency. They're the second highest on efficiency. So they're really the middle of the pack, but when it comes down to it, that middle of the pack makes them the best option. Next, you have the trawler. The trawler actually comes from the reclaimer, but you can purchase them at any major center. So if you go to your area where you purchase things, I didn't show that in this video. Maybe I'll try to go record that on the back end, but if you guys want to see that, let me know. I think I'll probably try to record that before this goes out, just to show the equipment. But you want to purchase a second abrade. I've removed my tractor beam. If you want to keep that, that's fine. But you want at least 2 abrades. And then if you want to do an abrade and a tractor beam, that's fine. Or do 2 trawlers or something of that nature. The cinch is fairly pointless. The cinch is just super slow. The diameter is super small. They're really just not worth the time and energy. I'm switching to the trawler here, so you can see that they cover more area. The diameter is pretty big. It's not twice as much, it's 6 instead of 3.5, but the speed is slower and the efficiency is lower as well. Not slower, but lower. So it takes more time. So they're the slowest head. Actually, that's not true. I think the cinch is still slowest. So just comparatively, these stats are just better for the abrade. So it is common for people in the Vultures to get 2 abrades. Again, you only come with 1, so it's ideal to spend the money to pick up the second abrade if you can, as soon as you can, and then go from there. Overall, I think that's going to be the best upgrade you can do so far. Minus, honestly, I think that's even better than doing a jump drive, because jump drive is going to be the next thing. You can see down here, here's the depot. That's going to be where your processing goes in this buffer here. You can have up to 13 SCUs that you need to process. You do have to go back there and manually process it. You can see it's, I don't know what the lock, target, and car auto. I don't actually really paid much attention to that, but all in all, you have to do the process. You collect the material by either scraping or pulling it in through disintegration, and then you have to go to the back to the buffer area and the depot to process it. So up here you can see if you use the left alt and A, you can disable A and D. You can use those to disable and use only 1 scraper. I don't know why you would want to do that. You can do that if you have a tractor beam. You can turn the tractor beam off. So that's one way you can turn the tractor beam off if you have just that. But for me, I use 2 scrapers, so it's not super useful. So you would use left alt and S to enable both. And then now you can use the middle mouse button or left alt and W to go to the fracking disintegration mode. That's not how I prefer to do it. You can see here, you can kind of turn it on and off that way. Right now it's disengaged. I'm really going to show here later on that using the right alt and W is going to be the better way to get into frac mode, and it'll allow you to automatically turns it on and enters that mode. And then using right alt and S is going to enable you to use the disintegration mode and make it ready to go as well. Sorry, it's been a long day. So again, I'm going to recommend when you're doing disintegration and fracking and disintegration, you use the right alt and W to get into the fracking mode and make sure that it's good to go. It'll turn it on as well. And then just like I've got here, and then use the right alt and S and turn it on. If you use the left alt and W, you're going to have to use the left mouse button to turn it on, and the right button, right click to, so left click to turn it on, and right click you can switch between the 2. I don't know, that I may have overcomplicated that a bit, but just know that really the key binds is to have both of them, the heads ready to go, and using the left mouse click to turn it on. That's going to be the first key bind that you really want to focus on. Over here you can see the speed that I'm setting. You can use your middle mouse button to use the scroll wheel to scroll back, and I'm setting my max speed a little bit lower, just so it makes it easier to kind of get around. Some people like to use gimbal. I don't use gimbal much anymore. If you press G, it'll enable gimbal and allow you to collect that way. You can see my heads are moving here now that I've turned it on gimbal mode. I don't find the range on it to be what I'm looking for. So I typically don't use that anymore. I typically just move my ship. Again, ultimately, if you're using the tractor beam, if you want to, you can use the R button to rotate the ship if you have it. But again, if you're using the tractor beam, there's a common problem where you'll get a crime stat associated with it. So it's just not, it's not super useful. And like I said, it feels kind of wonky. I mean, you don't have to move your ship at that point, but it just makes it a little challenging. All right, so with your 2 heads selected, like I've got up here, once you go into the M, press M, you can instantly use the left click to go ahead and start using your disintegration, or not your disintegration beam, your scraping beams. So you can see them, they're kind of burning the ship, you know, taking off the primer down here, or taking it down to the primer, if you will, you know, cutting the paint off. If you use your right click, it'll actually switch back and forth between your other set of heads. So it would go to my trawlers in my case. But here I just want to keep using the braid. So you're just going to use the left click to enable those and get the scraping. So I like to start from the top and work my way down. So you'll also notice that the background of the ship, the head here, is like a blue. Sometimes it's a green, sometimes it's a blue, but ultimately as you break this down, it will go to a yellow and then a red. So as I make my way to the bottom here, we'll end up seeing that. Now that I'm working on the left side, again, I work from top to bottom, so as I break this down, you'll probably see this left side will turn yellow here shortly. And I'll highlight that a little bit more here in a bit, but the end goal, see, it just turned yellow. So it doesn't quite stay up the whole time, but you can see it's a yellow hue around that selected. I'm not selecting it, but that's where I'm actually fracking. Sorry, where I'm actually scraping. So as it turns yellow, it'll eventually turn red, and that just means it has less and less material. There you go, you see it's red. So really what's only left on that now at this point, there's a little bit on the sides of it, but really there's just top and bottom of this. There isn't a whole lot of space on the sides of it to be collected. Additionally, you can see on the left and right side, there's a percentage breaking down. You know, it starts relatively high, it's about 40% now, and it works its way down to 0. That's just you collecting the material. It's showing you how much material, how much surface area is to be collected, down to the 0. Once it's at 0, there's nothing left to be picked up. So that's going to be your best gauge to know how much you've scraped off, how much is left to be scraped off. The colorization too, the fire you can kind of see helps a bit as well to kind of see what has and hasn't been touched. You can use the L key to turn on the light if you like that better. I have the light off. I think the contrast is better in this case without the light on, so that's what I like to do in most instances, but it depends on the light you have too. But notice, you know, I did show there we're in the trespassing zone, so time is of the essence. So I actually came out here a little bit late, so I definitely am wanting to scrape that as quick as possible. So I'm going to end up cutting this here, and I will show you guys on the other side once I get done scraping here. Again, I'm going to work from top to bottom and work my way around. I'll show a little bit more of that later on as well. So now I've scraped most of it on the other sides, on both sides actually. So again, I start from the top, I then work my way all the way down to the bottom. I make sure that I do the front and the back of the actual ship as well, so you get all surface area. You can see this has been pretty much picked clean, right? You want to pick the bone as clean as possible. That's going to be the best way to maximize the profit. You can see too from the SCMs, I've almost got 12. So I actually do spend a little more time here and do get it up over 12, so I can get 12 SCUs. That's how much you can get out of the Andromeda, so it can be pretty lucrative. So you want to, again, make sure all components are red. You're looking for any time that a component shows a bit of yellow, and also taking a look at the percentages on the left and right side where the circles are. You want to see if that shows up above 0%, because that's going to be where you need to scrape any bit left over. Spend about as much time on this as you want. I mean, if you get frustrated with it, again, you can use the light to kind of find any spots. For me, the background, the contrast wasn't good enough, so again, L is to turn the light on. So I don't find the contrast good enough, but I want these to be 0, right? So those little spots, you want those to be 0 as much as possible. If you find any percentage left, that means that it's not complete. So you want to make sure that you're scraping it down to the lowest percentage. So yeah, start from the top, work your way down, look for any yellow spots. You can see here this piece is a little bit yellow, so I just know there's a little bit more to be worked on now that it's turned red. I've probably scraped most of it, but even red, if it's yellow to just turning red, there's probably a little bit left on there on the bone to be picked clean. So just make your way through it. Again, I like to start, just come up with your own process. I like to start from the top to the bottom, and then I move down to one engine like I've got here, and then I move to the side of that engine, right? And then it allows me to do one side, and then from there I move on from that side to all the way around to the front, and then I move my way around to the other side, and I start from the back. So just come up with your own way to kind of cover every single spot. It could just be doing the back, the front, and then doing each of the sides, circling your way around. And when you're circling around, make sure you're doing the front and the back. Just come up with a good way that you want to go about picking this thing clean. But scraping's going to be more important than it has been in the past. Previously, you used to just frack and move on. That's not the case anymore. You're going to have to scrape it. So come up with a good way to do the scraping. All right, once you've picked it clean, it's time to head back there and clean up the buffer, what's in the RMC buffer. You don't have to do this. You could continue. It depends on how much RMC you got, right? But I'm just going to go ahead, since I've got almost a full buffer, I'm going to go ahead and start processing this. because it's full at 12 and I'm already at 13. I'm already at 12, so it's time to get these boxes out. So all you're going to do is make sure on the bottom right that auto eject is there. You want to make sure it's on one SCU. That's all that's available. That's the only option. Reclaimer has other options, but this is only one. Just hit the eject button. You do want to back away. I have noticed that if you get too close to it like that, you see there, it blocks it. So I have to hit the continue to eject button, but make sure your gun isn't in the way. It seems like it's more sensitive these days. So here's your one SCU box. You're going to go ahead and put it here. This is the first bug that you're going to come across. This grid is not working. This square right here should be a lockable grid for 12 boxes, and unfortunately it's not working as intended. So what you're going to do is just stack 3 boxes along the back and then 2 boxes high. So ultimately you're going to try to get 23 boxes in here. You can get 24, 25-ish, but 23 is probably the most reliable amount that you're going to get in here. Additionally, you saw I took too long for that, so again, anytime it's stuck, just go to continue to eject, but make sure your gun is not too close to it. Otherwise, again, it could interfere with it trying to eject. Now, I'm actually going to lose this box here. I had to redub this for whatever reason. My microphone wasn't working right. So when I go back to look at that, it's going to be gone. There it went. So where the hell did it go? So it did go outside. That does happen sometimes. I haven't noticed it as much. I noticed it more with the Reclaimer. But to be fair, I'm also in the Reclaimer a lot more than I'm in the Vulture. So I will recover it. Usually it's right outside there. I take a look right outside, but it's not right outside there. I have to fly out later to go get it. So if you want to take a quick peek, you can do that. Just hop out like I'm doing here. Take a look around the corner and see if it's there. Unfortunately, I don't see it right here. It's not till later that I'm going to actually find it and then be able to recover it. So it is one SCU, but construction material, I don't think I would care. I think I'd let it go. But with RMC, you got to hunt down RMC these days, especially if you're limited to a Vulture. I mean, even with construction material, you might want to take the time to go get it. So do close the door. It's going to make it easier to reprocess this, to keep the processing going pretty steady. Again, since the grid's not lockable, I'm having to kind of finagle these boxes a bit. But the goal is to get 12 in the square that's on the bottom down there. You can kind of see it. And then you want to get 8 along the left wall there. Unfortunately, once you do that, as you can tell, you can't get out the back of the ship here. That's where we're going to go into the second bug. So the first bug is the little attachable grid for 12 SUs is not working correctly. And then the other bug is that, unfortunately, the ladder's not working correctly. So once you fill up this bay, you can no longer use this door to get in and out of your ship. So you need to be landing somewhere where you can sell this material. Otherwise, you could lose all of it. So that's obviously the biggest problem right now with it. I can't seem to get the ladder to work. So that's a really big problem. So I don't leave a spot open for this cube. I kind of count it off as lost. But if you think you can recover the cube, feel free to leave a spot back there for it. That way you can kind of finagle a little bit better, but I had to kind of remove everything and kind of get everything back squared away. But yeah, at the end of the day, you just want to process all of these, and then we're going to make our way back up to the top so we can frack the rest of the ship. I'll see you on that side. Alright, so once you get back up to the top, get back in your seat, because we got to prep it for fracking. So you want to come around to the ship here and set it up. You're going to use, again, right Alt and W to set yourself in fracking mode, and it'll automatically engage it as well, so you'll be good to go. So then you're going to make your way towards the ship, and you'll see a little circle under you can see fracturing, that circle right there. You want that to fill in completely. There isn't any percentage on this, so it's again, keep your limiter down, your speed limiter, by using the mouse scroll wheel, and you can kind of zoom in here. You can kind of use your up and down, but just kind of get in the right spot and fill in the circle, and it'll frack. Right towards the end here, kind of pull away if you can, because there's a chance that stuff could come at you and mess with your legs there. So if you can move away, it's something you'll get used to, and the first time if you don't do it, that's fine. But you see I've got a fairly empty buffer. There's a little bit of construction material in there. Next, you're going to use the right Alt and S to set yourself up to use the disintegration mode. You can see there it's swapped over. So you're just going to make your way. I'm going to back up a bit here just so you can kind of see that. So it's all set up and good to go. And you can see the electricity kind of going along the tuning forks there. So then you can kind of make your way back to the target to go ahead and set it up so you can start collecting that particular material. You can also use, like I talked a little bit before, left W and S to kind of change between those modes, but I find honestly right Alt and S to be the best way to go ahead and get that disintegration mode. You can change these in the keybinds. Go to Escape, hit Options, go to your keybinds, and then you can find the salvaging options there, the keybinds under Advanced. So yeah, taking a look here, you can see there's a negative 10, 7, it's going down. When you're filling up that circle, you want that negative to become a positive. So there is a sweet spot. Also, you can see how much SCU. So this is worth 0.49 SCUs, and you can see there the number turned blue. I've got about 6. I think I got plus 6%. So I'm gonna get a little bit more than that 0.49 that was shown there. Additionally, I'm gonna look for one more spot. This might be where I find the box. Yeah, so you can see I threw away some construction material. Those are the unknowns. This unknown here happens to be that RMC box that fell out earlier. So I will go recover that. I'm only going to show that just because I'm going to go a little bit over some of the rotation, some of the box stuff when you go to work those particular items. So let's take a look here, and I'll talk about the keybinds. You can see here there's a scanning option because you should be able to scan this box, but honestly I wasn't getting it to work very well. So you can go to scan mode and scan these boxes so that way they no longer say unknown, but I had some troubles with it, so I'm not going to cover that too much now. Let's cover rotation of the box. Alright, so I wanted to note kind of you have the part of the salvaging is box management. So once you get a box with your tractor beam, you may have to try to rotate it or finagle it, right? It's kind of like idiocracy when you got that guy that's trying to put the like cylinder in the square. Or actually, it was probably the opposite. It's probably like a triangle or a cylinder or something like that, and trying to put it in the square. Again, I didn't make room for this box, so I'm going to have to kind of finagle these boxes a bit here to make more room for it. I should have just moved that top one back and then but I kind of messed it all up. So yeah, so just make a little bit of room here. You can use your mouse wheel to move it forward and backwards. That's what I'm using here is my mouse wheel to get those to come either forward or backwards. And I lose the box here for a second, but it's just right behind me. I was like, not again. So you can see here, I've got the box. Again, you can use the mouse wheel to go forward and backwards or get it further away from you or closer. And then additionally, you can use the R button to kind of rotate it or move it among about the space. So I've got R there, and you can see it says rotating. You can then rotate it, and you kind of move your mouse around to get it to rotate. Additionally, you can use your, so that's what I'm moving my mouse around, and then you can use the mouse wheel to get it to actually rotate a little more finely and precisely. So yeah, so you just want to play again the idiocracy test where you like a little IQ test to make sure you get it set up the way you want it to. Hold the R key down, and you can use your mouse wheel or move your mouse around to rotate it the correct way in order to set it up so that you can close the door here and put back to business. Now I wanted to note something here. Now once you're done, you can finish processing too, but we're going to go ahead and leave this area. So I want to note something. You can usually use OM jump points, but I want salvagers to kind of get away from doing that so much. I personally like to go to the other side of the planet if I can't find my destination. In this case, I want to get back to Orison. I like to go ahead and use jump points around the planet to do that. So if you use the OM jump markers, you can commonly find that pirates will be there. Pirates may not be as bad for salvaging this go around because it's not going to be as lucrative. And if they're looking for something, they're probably not looking for a vulture. But pirates are waiting around all day for a target. So if there's something at all like a vulture, they might give it a try and blow you up or just grief you anyways. So again, try to avoid using the OM jump markers as much as possible. It's just a tip. You don't have to do it, but it's just something I'm kind of recommending. Alright, so the first thing you're going to really note is that the multi-tool is going to be the go-to tool for your processing. That's what we kind of showed before. But you can also notice here you can actually create the multi-tool in this same processing unit. So it's going to take some of your construction and construction and recycling material, and all it's going to do is kick out onto this little door right here. So you can see here, that's my little, I crafted the tracker beam. I can just go ahead and put it in my inventory, and then I can put it to use. So you can do the same thing with a multi-tool if you happen to forget it. So just note in this video, obviously you need the recycle and construction material for the multi-tool itself, and then you just need construction material to look like for the tractor beam. So yeah, just be aware of that. If you happen to forget your multi-tool, you can still make one. Alright, selling. So the first thing you want to note is once you land at wherever your destination will be, you want to go to the little fleet manager and store your ship. So obviously I have a number of ships here that I've purchased since the last patch, but yeah, just go over here, click on you'll see it as store, click on the little store button, and it'll store it. Now, since we're at Orison, I'm going to make my way to the shuttle area, and I'll show you once we get to the shuttle area where we're going to go in order to get to the TDD and the admin center. The admin center is where you're going to go in order to sell the construction material, and the TDD are the trade districts where you're going to go in order to sell the recycled material. So let's get down there. I'll see you on the other side once I get to the shuttles. Now, once you get to the little elevator, you want to take it down to the shuttles. Now, this is specific to Orison. I will note that New Babbage and Area 18 are better about selling their materials. Like the areas for the TTD and the admin center are not as far apart, so they make it much more conducive to selling. So if you want to sell at those planets, that would be easier for you to get around. So on the left here is where you're going to go in order to get to the admin center. On the opposite side is where you're going to go to get to the TTD. So we're just going to go ahead and take this tram and make our way over to the admin center. I'll show you once we do that. I'm trying to cut this down as much as possible. Additionally, I do want to note I did process my construction as well. I just processed it off screen. So just like you did processing the recycle material, you want to finish processing the construction material if you frack the ship. If you just do all RMC, but at the end of the day, before you land, you want to make sure you clear your buffer out as much as possible, or at least put 23 boxes in your storage area. Right, so at the end of this is going to be the cloud area. So you're going to make your way through here to get to the admin center. Unfortunately, again, it's away from the TDD. I'll take a look back here and we'll take a look at the names, but you're just going to follow this stairway up. I'm actually going to come back because I took too much, like I did this too quickly. I was like, wait a minute, I should probably like show you a little bit better. So the blue area on the top there is where you come from if you come from the TDD, but down the below is where you come from the starport, or like the where you sell ships. So where are you coming from your ship? So you're just going to hit use on this commodity. Again, this is the admin center, so you're going to sell the construction material. So make your way down to your Vulture, or yeah, in this case we're talking about the Vulture. So you can see you can't sell the recycled material here, it's just not allowable, but you can sell the construction material. So just go ahead and put that in and hit sell. You can see I've got the 23 boxes total. That's the ideal amount that you, if you can, get in here. You're really maximizing your storage if you get at least 23 boxes. If you can get less than that, that's fine. But anyways, just sell what you have here. And it doesn't matter if it's on, you can tell, because right now the buffer's messed up. So not the buffer, but the lock-in grid. It doesn't matter if it's locked in or not, as long as it can see it in the ship, which generally it can see things on the ship. Even if it's not back there in the storage area, it's just one of those things where you can't. So I'm just noting there, that's the tram you get to the spaceport. That's where we came from. This is the one, we want to stay on the same one to get to the next area, which is going to be where the TDD is. And I'll see you guys on that side. Alright, so as you're coming up, you can see this big building in front of us. That's actually going to be where you can purchase Crusader ships. This big old area here, it's the ship showroom. So you can only get Crusader ships here. You can't get other ships like Aegis or anything like that, or Origin, or anything really. So it's just the Crusader ships. So if you want to get out here and take a right, you can go purchase Crusader ships that way. Additionally, across the way here, you can see that is where the you can actually go to get to where we just came from. So anytime you come from a place, you can actually go the opposite direction the other way. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and make our way. This is where the Providence is. That's where we just came from. We're in the cloud view area right now. So yeah, you want to go ahead and you can see on the left here is the hotel, or where you spawn in. If you spawn in at Orison, it's going to be in this building right here. And again, across the way is going to be where the showroom is, and on the right here, this is where the TD is, in this Stratus place. Additionally, here's the hospital on the right hand side, so it's perpendicular to the hospital and the hotel. So once you come in from either one of those two places, if you respawn, it's across from there. If you just come into the game, it's across from there. So you can see this like earthy type thing up here, this symbol. This is going to be where the TDD is at. So no matter where you go, this is going to be over the trade and development division, where you can go to sell quite a few materials. I don't know why they do an admin differently from this, but anyways, most things are actually sold in the TDD. So you can see here, you can get in here to sell the recycled materials. So go up to it, hit F again, just like you did before, and you want to select the Vulture again. The challenge with recycled material currently, I don't know if it's the case anymore. It used to be you could, I picked the wrong Vulture here, so I gotta pick another one. But you can see here, this shows no demand. Unfortunately, this happens when there's too much recycled material at the current TDD. So this is, I don't know if people are still selling or trading their recycled material. There used to be some places that sold it. Somebody mentioned you can't do that, at least at one of the locations. So it may just be people salvaging and it not having enough that it can purchase. So you may have to wait for this to go away. However, I force the issue here and I give it a try, and it happens to work anyways. You can also see it's significantly more money. So again, the more recycled material you can get from a ship, the better you're going to make on income. There we go. So then you just sell it and you're good to go. But again, If you ever want to see, I just double check here because if sometimes it'll say sold and it won't actually sell all the boxes. So you just want to make sure that if it does sell and it says no demand or high demand, you want to double check to make sure it bought all the boxes. And if it didn't, then you have to go to back in here. I'm going to go here in a second, but you have to go, you can wait around for it to be able to buy it, or you can go back in here, hit F, and then go to the sell section and go down to RMC, and then you can see it's a high demand instead of being no demand. So high demand just means it's pretty full up. It doesn't want to buy a whole lot more. I'm sure that affects the price as well, but at any rate, yeah, the recycled material has this problem, unfortunately, more than the construction material. So it's just something you need to be aware of. Generally speaking, though, with a Vulture, you can generally still sell it. So you just might have to wait around a little bit. All right, I want to note the first optional way of making money would be potentially bounty hunting with a Vulture. This sounds a little crazy. It kind of is. But in this case, I got interdicted by this Drake, and that happens occasionally when you're out and about. It seems to be happening more and more, to be honest. I was on my way to Hurston, and I got interdicted by this guy, and he found out. So occasionally you're going to run into ships that might find out by how good the Vulture is decent at bounty hunting. I'm not saying it's good enough to do it too often, but you can do this and then pick up the salvage at this point. All right, so I was picking up a bounty hunting mission. Actually, I think I'd already came to this mission, and I decided to come back. Now, I picked up a mission here. This is the first time I'm seeing it. So this is one of the moons outside of Crusader, and you can see there's a private property marker. You'll notice if you start doing some of the bounty hunting missions that they are just a common spawn point for other ships. So you'll find kind of like a graveyard there, right, or boneyard, or whatever you want to call it, right? But as I'm coming in here, we're going to see that there's a number of ships down here, actually. So there's the target that I'm assigned to. I don't think I'm actually successful in doing this bounty hunting, but I just want to note this is an alternative way to make a bit of money. So you could kind of, I don't know if I'd hang out too much here because again they're going to continue to spawn, but it is an alternative if you've got nothing else to do. When they do spawn, you do have some time. You can see here the target location. No, I did complete this because this actually happened to be a ground target. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if I picked the wrong kind of mission and it was a ground one. That is possible with bounty hunting. So I do go ahead and just kill this guy on the ground, but you can see there's a number of ships here, and it's just because they were, I don't know if maybe the bounty people aren't getting in their ships and that's what's going on here, or if it's because this is a ground mission. At any rate, you can see there's an A2 that's upside down as well, or C2, I'm not sure. I think it was an A2. Yeah, it's an A2 Hercules. So this is a great area. You can come here and you can scrape these things. So taking the bounty hunting missions occasionally, do bounty hunting, obviously not with your Vulture, but bounty hunting is going to be an option for you to potentially have a spot where you can go to. This is something I could test further. If you guys put in the comments there's enough interest in it, I could potentially try to figure out where the bounty hunting missions are all put at. Obviously, you just use your guns here and you can kill this guy on the ground. Again, I don't know if he didn't get in his ship quick enough or if the bounty was just to kill this guy on the ground. It was a ground mission. I should have, I'm cheating here. I got a little close, but I didn't need to do that. So there you go. So he's dead. So yeah, so I could just start scraping this. Actually, I do end up scraping this a bit. You see it's dead. It's just destroyed. But yeah, it was just really interesting. So this is an opportunity that you guys could potentially take on, is going to these kind of graveyards or really anywhere you can find a ship. This is going to be a really good opportunity here. But unfortunately, because it's a spawning area, we're going to see ships that spawn above me here in a bit. And I just want to kind of point this out as an option. But there is risk with it because other ships could spawn here. So it's a quick thing that you need to do. I'm going to scan this to make sure it's not someone else's ship, but once I do that, I go ahead and start scraping it a bit. So it's up to you guys how you want to go about that, but I just thought it'd be interesting listing as an opportunity to, because that's the point of the Vulture, is to go around and be a Vulture and to pick up ships that are left behind or pick up ships that are derelict or were destroyed due to combat, in this case destroyed due to combat. So yeah, next we'll take a look at another interesting option that was available. It's been available for a long time, but not something that usually people take on. Alright, so the next piece is about these panels. These have been around for a long time. I want to shout out Macedon. He has a YouTube video from 318 where it's going to talk about this a little more in depth. So if you want to find that, it's scanning for salvage. Looking here, you can see the signature. So it's both divisible by 2000 and an even number. So that's really what you're looking for. That's what's going to indicate or like tip off to you that this is actually a salvage plates instead of being stuff that can be mined.
So you see there, like 1850. That's not a whole number. That's 8,000. It looks like 8,000. Might have been 6,000. But all of those are. Most of those are not. They're going to be rocks or something that can be mined. And also, note this does take quite a bit of time. Also, it's something you probably get better at though, to be honest. So that one's 1,700. That's not divisible by 2, so it's not something you're going to be looking for. So you're looking for 2, 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, so forth and so on. It'll continue on. That number also probably coincides. Again, this probably needs more research. So that number probably also coincides with how much RMC is probably associated with it. But you can see the plates here. I think it's always 3 of these as well, and they're good for scraping RMC. So once you do find them, they are pretty lucrative. It's just getting to them. I'm outside of Hurl L1, so Hearthstone. A lot of these different planets have asteroid belts in their L1 systems, or L1. And I don't want to say it's a system, but L1. I don't know if those are planets. I guess they're probably not moons. I don't know what to describe them as, but the L1 systems outside of each of the different planets, L2s, actually, I don't know if this is her L2 or her L1. At any rate, I went to the area around the station there, and you're gonna, this same area you would go look for mining stuff. You just want to look for an asteroid belt area. So here you can see you can't frack it, so I don't know why I'm going into disintegration mode, but which is good. But it's again, it's been around for a long time. It's meant for scraping, and since scraping is back to being more lucrative for RMC, it's going to be something that I'm going to use in order to make a fair amount of money. And I think it's going to be a good alternative for people if you want to take a break from the mission. The cleanup mission is really the first option. That second one, maybe doing some bounty hunting. It isn't really doing bounty. I mean, just a little bit. You can do some very low risk bounty hunting. That's an option. But really doing something like this where you can find these panels and scraping them is going to be a good alternative. You found the little panels you'll be scraping. You get a couple of them, and you're going to be using you're going to get out of your, you want to get to your gun mode. So you want to get, I use apostrophe, but get out of your scanning mode, and then press M to get in your mining. Well, again, I keep saying mining mode because that's what you used to just call it, the mining key, but your salvage mode. And then from here, you're going to go ahead and just start scraping. And you can see here, it's actually quite a bit because it took me quite a while just to go through that little segment. So I think these two are going to depend upon how big the panels are and that scanning. So some are going to be worth more than others, but also you can see I did have a dogfight with a ship that pulled me out of Quantum, and so I killed him and proceeded to take his resources. See here, it's already turning yellow, so that's another thing you'll notice. You see the outline is it used up more material. It's going to turn from, you know, essentially I think it was it green before? It's going to go to yellow to red though. That's kind of indicating, hey, that's how much material is left on it. And you can see here I'm actually kind of going on the back side. But yeah, and the other thing I like to do is turn down my speed. So you can see here, you can use your mouse wheel and you can turn down your max speed. It just makes it easier to go about processing it. So just hold up my angles on it and just scrape it down. So yeah, this is an alternative way to come out for free. It's always been an option, but now that scraping has become a bigger part, it's just an alternative to having to get salvage by like a contract. So obviously other people might be out here as well. So you could have to fight over them, to be honest. We're not looking around at my, I don't think this indicates it's, let's say, oh, is this safe? I might be close enough to that station there that it actually might be safe. I don't think so. I don't think it's armistice zone now. Let me switch to my guns really quick. Yeah, I'm shooting, so it's probably not a safe zone. Here's the other one of the other panels. Yeah, it does start out green. So yeah, so you're gonna go from green, yellow to red, and that just kind of indicates, hey, that's how much material is left on it. So yeah, it'll be worth scraping. Okay, I didn't pay attention last time. I'm at 8.5. Let's see how much I get out of doing this one panel. And then it is Mother's Day, so I'm gonna have to scoot for a bit and go get some food for Bay. Almost got one SCU out of this, so they might be two, if these are like 2 SCUs a pop, that is going to be, and again, I think it's going to, this is just, I think this radar contact showed 10,000. You're looking for, and again, this is based off of Macedon had put together a guide for this about a year ago, I think now. So I appreciate him, and I want to shout him out. And I'll probably put a link to that in the description. Just, you know, be fair, just share credit, right? We should share credit where credit's due. Cite your work. So really what I'm getting at here is that he showed in his, and I think it probably still stands, is that every whole number, by whole number I mean there's no like 50 or it's straight thousands, and it appears to have to be divisible, because that's not always just the case. It appears to have to be divisible by 2000. So if the number is divisible by 2000, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, so forth and so on, his chart shows up to 24,000. Just again, if you're looking at it and you see like, hey, is it 1900? Well, that is a whole number that doesn't have any extra. There is a proper term for that, you know, ones, tens, hundreds. There's no ones on it, there's no tens on it. The hundreds and thousands need to be a whole number. There needs to be no tens or hundreds on it. Gosh, we're going back to like high school, or not, like grade school level math here. And then, so you're looking for no tens, no hundreds. And then you're looking for a divisible by 2. So if it's like 1900, that's not divisible by 2. 1800 would be. So that's what you're kind of looking for. So once you're done gathering all 3 of those, I can feel pretty comfortably saying there's at least 9 SCUs of RMC in there. It could potentially be 10, but you can see here I'm already pretty full on my bay. But you just want to go process it. So same thing you would do like previously, but it's just a good little way to make a good amount of RMC. You know, if you do 2 sets of those, that should be about 20. Obviously, the issue there is the potential of hitting an asteroid. So that's going to only be the concern you're going to run into, is potentially. So each of them have their own kind of threat, but really the cleanup's the easiest way to make money without having any threats. It's just this one, you could potentially hit an asteroid. But the Vulture's pretty nimble and small enough that you shouldn't have that problem too much, but it's just something to be aware of. So the biggest takeaway from this is going to be that RMC is going to be king. So if you don't take anything from this, it's going to be that. RMC was king before anyways, but this is really going to be more important because construction material has been hit pretty hard. So taking a look at this now, overall, I've just shared a couple ways for you to do missions or take on getting RMC. So that's, again, going to be the primary goal. And so using the panels might be a good way. Bounty hunting could be a good way. And going and looking at what bounty hunting ships might be left over would be, you know, more ideal than actually bounty hunting itself. Taking a look at the cleanup mission, that's going to obviously be a good priority as well. There's only so many of those, and it seems like they respawn a lot less and less nowadays. So really it comes down to it. You're going to have to find your own salvage and then try to make your own income from that, selling that salvage. But all in all, still a fun gameplay loop and still good money to be had. It's just you're going to have to work at it a little bit more. But thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you'd like to see. I just wanted to kind of give a complete guide as much as possible. Thanks for watching. And thanks to those that have liked and subscribed. I'll catch you next time. Peace.